So here are the basics of what was announced yesterday. This is not a report. This was announced by the various broadcast groups, including Disney, ESPN. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, which includes Turner Sports. That would be TNT, TBS, True TV, Bleacher Report. They have that stuff on the Max service and everything else. They're going to launch their own independent streaming service. It's a joint venture that they're going to run as their own thing. The basics here are that all properties from ABC, ESPN, Fox, TNT, and TBS, and the various other ancillary parts of Turner will be included. That also includes things like ACC Network, SEC Network, Big Ten Network, Fox Sports 1, etc. It does not include CBS and NBC. They've got their own thing going on. They got Paramount Plus, they got Peacock, right?
Okay.
So this is not going to be a one-stop shop for all things
This is
NFL.
not like a Hulu, YouTube. Oh, and you're thinking NFL. Okay.
Well, NFL matters here because remember, CBS has their own NFL package. NBC has their own NFL package. That's what the big story of the year was, the fact that they put a playoff game on Peacock, right? So that's separate from this. Those two entities are not included. Why they're not included? I'm sure we'll find out why. Well, down the line.
Why? Because ESPN is Disney is ABC.
I'm gonna get to that because I do think there's a commonality between ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers and why they're the ones that are pulling this together. But to also get through the basics here, it does not include the regional sports network, right? So like we were talking about the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes are not included in this. Bally's not included in this. That's their own separate thing. There's a separate conversation we can have about Amazon.
Why can't the NHL just take that over?
Well, they might. That's the thing. They might, because of all the regional stuff that's going on, and Amazon might be interested in this as well. So we don't know the price either. There's a lot of speculation on the price.
It's not going to be cheap.
No, it's not. The people who have been in my mentions like, oh, I'll pay $20 to $30. It might start at $30,
now
but it's not going to end at $30.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are these entities going to offer their channels to Hulu, YouTube, all the other things we're already getting them there? Or is this going to be the only way I can get these channels?
No. So this is essentially, if you've already signed up for Hulu Live, like I have, right? Nothing changes.
Okay.
Nothing changes.
This isn't like the WWE trying to go all out on their own, or HBO going out on their own.
What do you use, YouTube TV?
No, I use Hulu.
Okay, so if you have Hulu Live for essentially to replace cable, and you have all these channels, nothing changes. You're still going to pay $90 a month or whatever it is for
now
Hulu Live without ads.
What is my incentive to get this extra network?
If you don't give a crap about the rest of the stuff and you only care about sports and you're looking at saving money, that's why you would sign up for this.
Price point needs to be lower than the Hulu or YouTube offering.
So my working theory on this is that we're about to enter into a level of tiers for television, right? Because my first read when I saw this news is that things like Hulu and YouTube TV have gotten so expensive that it defeats the purpose of replacing cable. Remember, the whole reason why these services came up and why people flocked to them is because they used to be $40.
It's like $230 for my cable bill.
Right. Yeah. It used to be X amount for your cable bill. Hulu comes in at $40 a month with ads. Without ads, I think it was like $45 a month. But now it's up to $95 a month. And between $70, I pay $70 for AT&T.
Thanks, OG Media.
Right. $70 for AT&T fiber internet in combination with that $95 a month, we're creeping back up into cable territory, right? So I think they're going to give you tiers going forward. You want no sports? No sports. Here's your tier. You want all sports? Here's your tier.
You want everything?
You want everything?
They're going to movie theater popcorn that thing, aren't they?
What does this sound like to you, Joe?
Cable?
Oh, weird. Man, shout out to the tech bros, man. They reinvented cable. I mean, look, everything was getting so out of hand with the various streaming services. And all these companies found out the hard way that going on your own is super, super expensive to create the content, number one. So it used to be Disney would make their shows. They would then license them out to Netflix, and then that's how they'd make their money. But they thought, well, wait a minute. Let's cut out the middleman. Let's have our own service. We'll give you all the Star Wars, all the Marvel, all our Disney shows, right? And they found out, oh, shit, man, this is expensive. The other issue that these services are all dealing with, Max, Disney Plus, all that stuff, is customer churn. This is something about OG Media that we are learning.
Congratulations to you. You just referred to them as Max. You're the first person in the history of the world to refer to them.
I know. It took a while to get me there. You know what the most expensive thing for us is here to do what we do?
No, I do not.
It's not the platform us to get a podcast platform. It's not any sort, StreamYard. That's not it. It's not the equipment. That's a one-time sunk cost. The most expensive thing for us is customer acquisition, audience acquisition. I need people to know we exist.
Mhm.
I need people to know we exist and then get them on the hook and get them to stick with us. That costs dollars. That costs marketing dollars. And that, in the form of these streaming services, comes in the form of new content all the damn time to prevent churn. Netflix just has everything. And of all the streaming services that exist, Netflix is the one that ultimately won because they have very, very little customer churn. And you've seen a lot of these companies started to sell their stuff back to Netflix, right? So that's something to keep in mind as to why we're here. And the thing that...
So, Mike, let me ask you this in a sports context.
Yeah.
What does it mean that ESPN and Fox are being friendly? This comes after
I'm glad you brought
the conferences that are run by ESPN and
Yes.
Fox suddenly decided to find religion with themselves.
I'm glad you brought that up,
Okay.
because all these broadcasters have another thing in common other than the churn. They're all inventory sports, and they're all inventory sports with new deals coming up. So with the cable erosion happening, and remember, I'm a broken record here.
Yep.
Cable and the sports rights fees ballooned because everybody was taking massive, just drinks from the well of money that was subsidizing them.
A hose, yes.
I mean, really,
A fire hose.
It's really what it was. It was the cable bundle in 110 million homes. 20% of those people maybe cared about sports. The 80% were subsidizing it. People who never watched ESPN. And I've been calling this for a decade, that eventually that was going to go away.
I feel like longer, but
Probably longer, 15 years now, that this was eventually going to go away, and there was going to be a reckoning for the leagues and the broadcasters, and there was going to be a correction. And we're seeing that correction right now. So everybody's freaking out, and they don't know what to do. So that's what all these have in common. Fox and ESPN or Disney have a lot of bills due to keep their inventory sports going. So they're looking for a way to pull the stuff together and make money that way. It's more revenue generation. I was reading a report, I think it was in Business Insider, that was highlighting how every entity will have a different distribution of revenue. It's almost like the ACC and the college football playoff, right? So like Disney.
hey, SMU.
Right.
Love you, mean it.
Fox could be the SMU here.
But it's free.
Exactly. So those are things to keep an eye on. And that's why we're here, man. It's the erosion of cable. But I do think there's some other things that are going on here, in that while it has I know everybody's making a big deal about how this is going to completely transform television, because I think everybody understands that sports has been the thing that has kept traditional television alive.
Yes.
And now you are seeing these broadcasters go, well, I mean, hell, Roger Goodell had his commissioners forum this week, and he was asked about streaming services and things like that. And he said, we got to fish where the fish are, which is why he's been putting stuff on these streaming services. He was asked about the Super Bowl eventually going streaming, and he said, not while I'm here, but of course things change. One other note about this, which I find interesting. This has the potential to completely wreck the talking head industry. Like, I believe that the talking head apocalypse is finally about to happen.
You talking about us, or are you talking about the shows that are on?
Yeah, it already happened to us.
Sure.
Okay, I'm talking about the Pat McAfees, the Stephen A. Smiths, the Mike Greenbergs. If you're going to pay $50, $60 for the streaming service, you're paying for it because you want to watch
the games.
Okay. The reason why the big personalities at these various networks make the money that they make gets back to what I was talking about with cable. They were drunk with money. And in order to keep people, you had to fill out the programming on your linear network somehow. So you had to have something on at the gym. You had to have something on at the airport bar, right? So that's how you got to this point where Stephen A. Smith and the like are making all this money. Well, we've already seen them cutting back on personalities. This is the big one. I really think this is the big one. At the very least, you're never going to see a deal like Stephen A. Smith got again. You're never going to see a deal that Mike Greenberg got again. Pat McAfee will likely go back to his YouTube licensing, whatever rate it's going to be. But I do think this is the beginning of whenever this launches a couple years from now, those big contracts, they're going away. It's all about saving money, man. And when you realize that for the most part, the reason why people watch the ACC network or the SEC network or the Big Ten network, it is not for the stuff that runs from 1 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the evening.
It's not the Big Ten biography?
No, it's not. So, by the way, speaking of the ACC, I don't know what kind of footing the ACC is on here, too, right? Because if it's all just under one big jumble, that's the other thing, too. If it's all under one big joint venture, well, what's to stop these companies from saying we only have one NBA pregame set? What's to stop them from only having one NFL pregame?
That makes a lot more sense for them. The NBA in particular, I think NFL too. Like, I don't know if you've tried to watch some of these pregames.
I'll occasionally watch. I'll occasionally watch. Anyway, that's just something that happened over yesterday. Hopefully I explained it the best I could. But the key part, if you take anything away from this, it's that if you are a Hulu subscriber, a YouTube subscriber, and you pay for everything, nothing changes for you. If you don't give a damn about anything on Hulu and YouTube other than the sports, that's why you're on those services, you might be able to save at best $40 a month. But hey, $40 is $40, right?
It's a cup of coffees.
Exactly.